Okay, hi, yes. And today is?
Let's see, 23rd
Is
of
it
February?
22 or 20,
Yeah, I think it's, well, maybe it's the 22nd.
22nd? It's Wednesday.
Yep, it's the 22nd of February.
It's still February?
Yep.
How much
2000,
we know about the time?
yeah, 2006.
2006.
Yeah, time flies.
So, Mayor Lou's going to ask me a bunch of questions and see if I am qualified to answer them.
Yeah, this is our little interview.
Right.
This is meet the press, or
Yeah.
meet the ML, or meet the family, or whatever.
Right.
So tell us, Dad, when and where you were born.
I was born in October the 1st, 1916 in Helena, Montana. And I lived there till I think I was about 3 or 4 years old.
Okay.
And then had a brother, Babe, that was born, I guess, about a couple of years later. I don't remember exactly. But from there, my dad was a instructor of the band of East Helena, where he came from Chicago to answer ad, be a director or the leader or conductor of the band. And I don't know, well, he was in back east with my uncle. He got involved in working in one of the automobile factories, and I am confused whether it was Ford or General Motors, but Joe says it was Buick factory in back east.
Your brother
so
Joe?
when he came to East Helena, he also was a band director, and he also started automobile painting.
Oh.
And he was working as an automobile painter also. So while he was in East Helena, I'm not sure if there was a fire before or after, but the Butte Mines band had the Butte Mines band's name is Treeler, and he found out about my dad, and he asked him to come to Butte so he could play in the band, because he was a bassoon player, which was kind of a special instrument, and not many people could play them. So it's called a double reed, and they're very difficult to handle. So anyway, we go to Butte, and I'm not sure whether my grandparents were already in Butte. But anyway, the first part of Butte is pretty hard for me to remember.
You were only about 2 or 3, weren't you?
Huh?
You were only about 2 or 3 then?
I think I was getting a little older than, I think around 4, and I'm kind of think we're the first place we lived in Butte. The first place comes to mind is on Redwood on Upper East Butte, and East Butte was on the east side of the city of Butte, which had a mine called the Pitsmont mine and smelter. These groups of homes were, I think, built by, well, they were built by contractors anyway. But we were called on Upper East Butte, which was further east, and a little bit further north. The street was called Redwood. And one of the incidents I remember, got 2 of them. One of them, Bobby, my cousin, who was older than Babe, And we were, I guess we would be 3 or 4 or something like that, because we were running around. And we seen this tire, high pressure tire. And of course, then we started poking sticks in it. And guess what it was? Well, there was this crack in this tire, and we punched the tube and blew all that stuff out. And I think it got into Bobby's eyes.
Uh-oh.
And that was a real go around with my mother. She had to wash them out. And Bobby was living with his grandmother. So they were in East Butte too, but they were further, from Redwood, they would be south and a little bit to the west. And the street they lived on was Plum Street. Anyway, the second incident was when my dad left the car across the street from the house. And of course, us kids get in there and we're going to be playing, driving. We kicked the doggone emergency brake off, rolled down the hill and went whack, whack, and my dad came out, yeah, you know, consequently. So I can't remember what the year it was because I don't think I was going to school yet.
So you're probably
But
not
we
even.
were close to the Harrison School. Then I'll see. I can't remember. Did I start kindergarten? I think we did. I start kindergarten when I was in Redwood, and of course I didn't realize it, but everything I did was backwards. I had dyslexia, and I didn't know I had it. And my mother didn't know I had it. The teachers could care less.
They probably didn't even know you had it.
Their point was either you do it right or you're wrong. So I remember, it's kind of funny, I remember the smallest things, that they gave me a deal to write out in English, and it says, "My dog has spots." I put, "My God has spots." I spelled dog backwards. Boy, did I get rated over for that.
No.
Then another deal I remember was we had these, you fold these pieces of papers up and cut holes in them.
Mm-hmm.
If you make little paper like napkins or something, or doilies or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember that. Then from, I think it was 1922, I think I looked before 22, maybe 20. We left Butte and went to Seattle because Dad had a chance to play in the Orpheum Theater because it just had vaudevilles and live orchestras. Anyway, we go to Seattle.
How did you get there? Did you take the train or did you drive?
We drove.
Oh, okay.
Right. And we lived with some friends for a while. I mean, I don't remember how long. And then we moved to a place around Greenlake, which is around Greenlake where we were anyway. And the area that we lived in now I think is I-5's going through it. So I went to school there, and I remember all the trees, and Babe and I used to run around and hide with a lot of growth, play. And another thing I remember that my mother would make necklaces, you know, she'd take something like a clay, not a clay, stick material, where you'd heat it over there and you'd make a ball or something like that and put a hole through it and make necklaces and things like that. So she used to do that.
What did she do with
My dad,
What did you do with the necklaces? Did she just keep
it was
them?
something just, it was a hobby,
Oh, okay.
something to use up time. And my dad was playing the Orpheum Theater and also had a job in a paint shop in Seattle, or in Seattle. So it happens that there's some conflict between one of the, musicians, between my dad and this musician. So my dad gets fired, so back to Butte we go. And
He
this-
got fired from the Orpheum?
Yeah, well, by the,
Oh, okay.
so back to Butte we go.
How long were you in Seattle? What do you remember how long it was?
About a year,
About a year. Oh, okay.
not too long.
Mhm.
So we go into, we come back, I think it was around 1922. And that was about the time my grandpa passed away,
Grandpa Lozar?
or Grandpa Lozar.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I had my Aunt Frances and Stiffy were also living with my grandmother.
And Bobby too, right?
Bobby was living there too. And went to school, the Harrison School. And I think from there, after we stayed, I think, with my grandmother for a while, I'm not sure, we moved to McQueen, which was from McQueen. From East Butte, McQueen would be north of East Butte in the Pt1 mine. And we lived on a street called Hazel Street. And that was in McQueen. Now, today, this whole area has been covered over with tailings from the Berkeley pit. So it's there no more, the church and everything. Anyway, I went to the Catholic school and I can't remember, it was Holy Savior, I think it was. And the priest was named Father Parent, was a guy that go down to the gym and practice. And he was I guess some of the kids that were growing up, going to school were pretty good sized bullhunks. And consequently, some of them got where they would challenge the nurses, and not nurses, but the sisters. And of course, if one of them challenged them, all they did is one swing, and no question about it. That guy didn't want to go anymore because he was a tough character.
So the priest would defend the nuns, huh?
Well, he had the church and the school. So he'd have these big kids, and when it came to discipline, it didn't take long for them to get the point. So I don't think he did this very much. And consequently, going to Holy Savior, I think we had to walk. Now we're leaving. We're living in East Butte at 210 Cherry Street, which is the house my grandma was living in. And of course, this idea that my grandmother, Stiffy, and Fran all moved to San Francisco. So I went to school, and we'd walk from East Butte to McQueen, and there was a big open flat, and it would be cold, freezing rain. It was cold there, and of course, you know, there's a pool of water. To think nothing of, you know, wading through the water. Kids had brains, you know. So consequently, I ended up by having rheumatic fever. And a rheumatic fever is the inflammation of the joints, which causes swelling. And of course, my mother treated me by putting bandage of liniment on my legs. I think they call it horse liniment anyway. They use it on horses and everything else. So I spent one of the years of school in bed at 210 Cherry Street.
Do you know how old you were?
Hmm?
Do you know how old you were? Do you remember your age?
I was in the 6th grade.
Okay.
I can't remember it all.
Okay, about 12.
So I get back to school, and I think I'm in the 7th grade, and that's when I think my dyslexia starts showing up, and I was getting in trouble all the time. The nuns, in order, if you did anything wrong, they'd take the ruler and hit you across the knuckles with it. So guess what? Instead of walking to school, we walk to downtown, Abe and I, play hooky. Well, we little smart kids going downtown, and it was a 5 and 10 cent store. What was the big one? Anyway, this is one of the millionaire 5 and dimes that this family owned, and consequently, being little smart kids, we start reaching on the counter and picking up stuff. Pretty soon, a couple big hands come, yuck. Haul us down into the basement of this place. And they kept us there until about, I think, we should have been there in the first place, until about 5 o'clock. So.
Were you just all sitting down there by yourselves? Just locked in the basement?
Yeah, it was just Babe and I.
Mm-hmm.
And they turned us loose about 5 o'clock, and we had to go home. And I don't remember whether we told the truth or told a lie, or I think we're pretty good at trying to get away with things. That's one of the incidents. And let's see, after that, I didn't finish going to school at Holy Rosary or Holy Savior. I ended up by going to Harrison, and that was about a block, maybe 3 blocks from the house. It was Cherry Street was here, then I don't remember the street over here, and the school was up in Upper East Butte, and that's where I went to school, and I didn't do too good there because dyslexia. So I ended up by going to junior high. Didn't do too good there. Wouldn't study. Bring the books home, look at them, take them back, and sit like a dummy, you know. In those days, the teachers didn't care whether you got learned or anything. So anyway, get through junior high, then I go to high school. Well, of course, one thing I never did was study. There's always an excuse because the turmoil in the family made it so that you didn't want to stay in the house. So,
What was your turmoil?
hmm?
What was the turmoil?
Oh, my dad and mother would be scrapping or yelling at each other, or was something going on, loud mouthing. So, you know, you just say, well, to avoid it, you just get the heck out of there. So we would go down and hang around the grocery store. And then high school, I didn't do too good in high school. Then I realized that, you know, like one of the lessons we're supposed to read that I remember, and it kind of bugged the heck out of me, was Ivanhoe. And students read the book and they would get up and quote different parts about Ivanhoe. And I just said, that's a great book. Why the heck didn't I read it, you know? So finally got to my senior year, and I had, I think, 2 credits to go to graduate. In the meantime, going to high school, I was also stopping at the paint shop. I was going to Butte High, which is, trying to think, it was off of Park Street. Park, Colina, and, what the heck was it? It was close to Montana Street, Colina and Montana, which would be, it was a little further west. Anyway, my dad had the paint shop on Colina Street, so I'd go from school, go to the paint shop, and work on it, you know.
Mm.
And
Is the high school still there?
it's now the Catholic high school.
Okay.
It's a co-educational.
Yeah. Do you have a book on Butte, Montana? Does the book have any pictures of the streets you were talking about?
What?
Don't you have a book about Butte, Montana?
Yeah.
Do you have any pictures in the book about some of the things that we're talking about, like the school?
I
or?
don't know. I didn't look.
Okay.
At it.
Okay. I'll look through it and take some pictures of it.
Anyway, my dad says, "Well, you got to, go to work in a shop, you know, and not go to school." I said, "No, I'm going to finish." Because what happens, I took, now what the heck did I take? It's a book about mechanics, how an airplane flies and all that stuff. Man, this was great, you know. It related to the way you did things. It had pulleys, levers, and all that stuff, you know, and it was showing what normally goes on in engineering. And boy, I really liked that. And then I took biology. Well, the teacher in biology, she was real nice. In fact, she was the best teacher I've ever had. And I, of course, never did any doggone homework or anything. So she says, "Well, I got a question, and I'm going to go around on the class." And she said, "I was going to start with you," and I said, "Well, I don't know the answer." She said, "Okay, I'll start at the other end. By the time I get to you, you'll know the answer." She was great. I mean, she didn't dress you down. She was trying to help you. So I finally finished those 2 subjects, I think, about in January, you know, at school. And then I go to work in the paint shop. Now, I am a little bit, well, this is the time, you know, you start looking at girls. And, of course, I don't know, for some reason, my dad had a deal that we shouldn't be playing around with girls or anything. So anyway, I was still in high school, and I was taking a manual training course. And this teacher, the manual training, it was machine shop. I took drafting, I took woodwork, I was taking machine shop. This guy in the machine shop, he didn't teach any. He sat on his butt and let do anything he wanted. So in order to kill time, they had a forge, and and you go, just like playing around, you did something just to kill the time. So guess who, let's see, where the heck now, in the meantime, I met Louise someplace, and she would come to Butte High to take sewing lessons. And I would be sitting on the stairs that she had to go up the second floor and meet her there and talk to her for a while. And now I'm really confused now what year this was. So anyway.
Well, you were a senior in high school.
Yeah.
So, and Mom, was she about 16?
I think she was younger than that.
Was she younger than
16.
that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And anyway, wait a minute, I was older than that. I was about 18.
Mm-hmm.
And she could have been around 16 then. And kind of a little blurry now. We used to have families, Slovenian families would get together and go out and have picnics. And what the picnic was because of the lodge would sponsor it, and what they'd have is a baked lamb. They'd have a whole lamb or a whole pork, and then they would sell off the meat, and consequently we'd go to those, and of course at our age we're looking at girls anyway, and I don't know if I was, some of these I went with Louise or met her at these, and we went and hang around quite a bit and all that stuff. So anyhow, there's a lot of stuff I'm missing here.
Oh, we can fill things in. You told me one time that you were outside your house, and there was a lady, or I think it was a family who lived next door to your mom's house, and a car drove up. Remember that story?
Oh yeah, I remember that real well. We lived next to the house. It was known Tony Cash. Tony Cash was a relative of Cash that owned the 5 Mile House, and Louise's mother was some way related through the Cash family, and of course what impressed me that that I don't know if you ever heard of the car called Rockney, Newton Rockney. It was made by a Studebaker, I think. Anyway, I was pretty young then, and here comes her mother, because her mother, she dressed pretty good. This little gal comes in and looks at her, wow. And I'm peeking through the picket fence looking at her. Wow, what a gal. And
do you remember what Mom was wearing?
Huh?
Do you remember what that little gal was wearing? What kind of clothes she was wearing?
Well, I think she had something like a pink or white, and it was almost like Easter time or something, how you dress around Easter. Anyway, that's when I was pretty young, but now we're way past, I'm 18. I think I was still going to high school or going to grade school then.
Oh, when you saw her through the
Yeah.
picket fence.
Yeah. Anyway, the Casts were our neighbors for all the time we lived there. And then we'd go on picnics, of course, and Louise and I would get out together and walk around and smooch and all that good stuff. So, let's see. We used to go to the dances called the Rotary Dome, which was the Slovenian lodge, and have dances, and that's where we got to learn how not to tanglefoot. And we'd learn to dance, and that was Louise's cousin. Let's see, Dorothy, and okay, I can't think of her name.
Marion?
And Louise, and we more or less were kind of palling together, you know, and I used to go and visit their house and stuff, and they'd have parties sometimes, you know, and we'd go there. Anyway, I think I'm cutting a lot of this stuff out that was to be interesting.
Well, you can always go back, because I can edit this.
And what the heck happened? Well, Louise and I finally got together, and we were. She graduated. I think I both graduated the same year because I was way behind, and I was still working for my dad. Just working, not getting paid. He was saying, well, you got a place to live and you got a place to eat. And I was going to say, if you got a place to eat, you got to be joking. And anyway, yeah, that's when Louise and I got together pretty much. And we would go to movies, go riding, go skiing, did a lot of things together. And then I think we're getting close to 41 when Germany was trying to invade England, and Roosevelt was playing games. So I think I'm 20-some years old, and she turned 20 about that time.
You're 4 years apart.
Huh?
You're 4 years apart. You're 4 years
Yeah.
older. Okay.
And that's, we were riding up on what they call Roosevelt Road, which was a windy road coming from Whitehall down through the mountains into Butte. And we were up there looking at this, you could see the city lights, you know, a beautiful view. And that's when I asked her to marry me. And I told her that I couldn't give her a lot of things. Anyway, she was happy. She agreed, went down and bought a ring. And it's a little chintzy ring. But I had enough money to pay for it. Another thing we used to do, during the high school, we had the high school prom, and I didn't have enough money practically even for the streetcar ride, and I was kind of biting my nails because what do I do next, you know? And consequently, we got together, we started saving nickels and dimes together. And then what we're doing, we were going to get enough money, so if we had to get a sandwich, a chicken sandwich, we had the money. So what we do, we're saving all this stuff. We buy these. There were bonds. I don't know what they were called, but they were selling these bonds and stuff. So we bought the bonds together. They were patriotic people, you know.
War bonds?
War bonds, yeah. And this is, we're in the 41.
Yeah.
So, things start to move along pretty good, and I think things moved around so doggone fast after that, I can't remember them all. And I'm leaving out a lot of things, like where we associate with our different.
Well, you can go back to that,
Yeah.
Dad.
So pretty soon, Ray was going to be shipped overseas. In fact, Ray left San Francisco. He was on the way to Honolulu. When they bombed the heck out of it, they returned back to San Francisco. So they give everybody a leave. He comes home and he says, Louise showed him the ring. Oh, she's all charged up. And he says, I suggest you get married right away. Well, I'm here, he says, because I'm going overseas. So then the wheels start turning, and I think they had about a week to put everything together. We got dispensation, and I can't remember the doggone church we got married in anyway. I think it's the Immaculate Conception. And it was in the basement of the school. They just got through building a new church, which was across the street. And we get married in the Immaculate Conception about 7-something in the morning. Louise had been up all night helping her mother make all the food and stuff for the reception. And if somebody hit me in the head, I wouldn't feel any different. I was just like I was in a trance. Went through the whole wedding. Then we go for breakfast, and my dad was there, and Louise's dad was there, and we went to this restaurant because of all the California, or all the Great Falls people from Louise's family were there, and she couldn't accommodate them in the house. And because we're going to have the reception, then we go and have breakfast. After that, in the meantime, we get in the car, snow. It's snowing. It's getting cold. So anyway, we get our pictures taken. And one of the pictures we got is hanging on the wall of Zubik. He retouched our face so much that you couldn't recognize us. He said, if the guys had just kept his hands off, it would have been better off. It'd be a better picture than what he tried to do. It made us look like a bunch of mannequins rather than people. And we go to the reception. Of course, we invite all these people, and I'm, like a dummy. I can't think. I don't know what I'm doing half the time, and consequently, finally, we get through this reception, and I think my dad let me use a car, and we were going to take Ray back to Seattle, Fort Lewis, because he had to be there the following day by midnight.
The 5th.
After the wedding.
Ooh. So that was the 5th of
So,
October.
the first night, we stopped in Missoula, and I think we ate something and she got sick. Well, I didn't tell you all the stuff we got in our wedding and stuff, so I'm kind of going through this kind of
Well,
fast.
don't hurry. What did you get for the wedding? Tell us a little
Huh?
bit. Tell us what you do. Don't have to hurry through it. What did you get for the wedding?
Oh, well, I was telling Louise, when I proposed to her, that I'd never get her a mix master. We got two of them at our wedding. And didn't have to buy one. Then we got quite a bit of money, and there was a store in East Butte where it was called Chodny's Groceries, and I used to use their phone. I used to burn Louise's ear. I didn't have a telephone. I'd walk in, can I use your phone? He'd be in the office there doing book work, and yep. It was just like automatic now. I'd walk in there and use the phone. And I would talk to her for about a half an hour. And of course, I guess he didn't mind as long as there was somebody else besides him in the store. And that is one of the incidents that I kind of bypassed. Well, he's the one that I think gave us cash money. A lot of them gave us a lot of cash money. I think we ended up over 300 and some bucks. No, only $400. And so with what happened is we drive to Missoula. We stopped at Missoula, and I think Louise ate something and got sick. Couldn't night, she's sick. Ray goes to another hotel and stays there. And of course, when I come in there, the guy greeted me. He says, "Is congratulations in order?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Poor sucker." What the hell's going on? Anyway, Louise is sick that night, and it was kind of one of those nights that things didn't work out right anyway. So the next morning we had to hit the road. So we were driving. We drove from Missoula all the way to Fort Lewis, and we got to Fort Lewis just about 10 o'clock that night. And we let Ray off.
What kind of car were you driving? Do you remember the car?
Yeah, that Willis AmeriCar that I had.
The Willis.
Willis. And see that we're going to the war now, where there's no car production.
Right. Now, what year? Was it a 30? What year was the Willis? How old?
41.
41. It was a brand new Willis.
No,
Oh, you're married in 41.
they're made in 41, but they're made almost half a year ahead of time.
Okay, gotcha.
All your new cars are made half a year ahead of time.
Yeah. So you're driving a new car.
It wasn't exactly new, but
Yeah.
Close.
if you ever a tin can, that was a tin can for sure. Well, my dad got the dealership on it, and that's another story. Anyway, we leave Ray off, and we find a motel, and we stayed there, and this was located close to Burien. And then from then we were in Burien when Boeing was putting in the plant, the Renton plant, and they were building it on a marsh right at the it would be the south end of Lake
Washington.
Lake what?
Washington.
Lake was. I was going to say Lake Washington. I can't tell. Anyway, we took picture. I think we took a picture over there, pouring it. Well, there wasn't no building. It was still breaking ground. And this is in the 41. Then we drove up into Seattle and got a motel called the Ace Motel on Aurora. And
I think it's still there.
I think so. And what I was thinking about was that we were walking down the street. Of course, there was quite a bit of Japanese in Seattle about that time. And we seen this gal had cucumbers rubbing together. And then we started looking at her, and gal came over and said, "What you looking at?" I said, "I just wondered what you were doing." "Oh, what the heck was she taking?" "Oh, she was taking something out of the cucumber by rubbing it together." Who knows what she was doing, but it didn't take her long to jump up and ask what you were doing. And then after a while, you begin to get suspicious. Louise, being young, and I had this long gray overcoat. And anyway, we end up by going back to Butte. So on the way back, we stopped and seen Steve and Zelda, and we stayed at with them in Dixon for about, I don't know how long we stayed there. Then we went back to Butte, and we stayed at Louise's house, or her mother's house, I think for about a week or so, and she wanted to get her own apartment because of the deal of the inductions and stuff and all the rules, so you couldn't be living in a family, you gotta be self-supporting. So we end up by getting a place down near off of Montana Street. And of course, this is one of the jokes that Joe always pulls, you know. They had a ballroom down there. There was a night-going outfit. And by this ballroom, we lived about maybe a couple houses to the south in an alley. And we were renting a upper storage of a house. It was grandmother type deal. They had a bed that rolled out from under the eave pipes, and then we had a big room in a kitchen. So there, Joe's joke was that Ed would always promising Louise a rose garden. He came close. They moved next to a rose garden ballroom. Anyway, from there goes, I'm working with my dad, and Babe is working with his father-in-law in the mines. So I'm just alone in there. And things were getting pretty doggone rough because we were living off of money that Louise made as she worked for commercial credit. And I don't know how long she was worked before we got married, but she had some money saved up, and we were practically living on that. Then one day Dick Cloak came in, and I asked him about getting a job at Boeing. He said, "No problem," he says. "Yeah, come to Seattle, and we'll get you in." Okay. So this is the time packing up the car, and I think we put everything we own in the back seat of this mirror car, or in the trunk or whatever. And of of course, I kind of missed the deal where we stopped at my aunt's, and of course, they let us have their bedroom, and of course, Steve says we're going out and get double duck.
This is Aunt Steve, Uncle
That's
Steve and
my
Aunt
Uncle
Zelda.
Steve.
Now, where was this?
That would be Dixon, Montana.
Dixon.
And so we're going to get double duck. And what double duck was either pheasants or ducks. And he says, Zelda, being part Indian, could hunt any time. And there's always the game warden, this big open country, you know, with the flat rivers going through it. Gets a pair of field glasses, he can see what's going on all the time. So he says that if they come down and just hand Zelda the gun, says she did it. And she didn't need a license because she was a native. Well, she was part anyway. So that's Picard got part of this. Then now we're heading back to Seattle. And well, in the meantime, Al and Florence get married. And they went to Seattle. They went to Seattle first. Florence had family that she knew there. So we get a motel. Was on the south end of Boeing Field. Was that place was not a farm, truck garden in there. And this, did you ever remember, what the heck was it? Oh, I can't remember. There's a, I don't, can't be Military Road. Could be Marginal Way. The road that went right through Boeing. Anyway, we got a motel, and Al got a job in the hammer shop, and I got a job in the paint shop, and now Mom's pregnant, so what the heck, I think I better take a break here a little bit.
Okay, the tape is gonna run out any minute.
Yeah.
You wanna,
Yeah.
we'll just stop it right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that sounds good. And what we could do is look through the
How do you-
book. I'll just push the button. Push this button right here and it will stop.